Okay, welcome everyone. This is the September HMIS user meeting. If you haven't already, please enter your name into the chat box, your agency name into the chat box. Just one second. All right, so this is our agenda today. We have an update on the data accuracy and data completeness dashboards. We have some changes to the coordinated entry screens that we want to share with you. We also have some data standards changes that we wanted to share with the group, as well as some clarity updates. We have a reminder about the audits and the monthly training webinar wrap up. And then we have the agenda for the upcoming data and performance management meeting, as well as a reminder about the Labor Day holiday. And then we will wrap up with some Q&A if there's anything from the group. So first up, we have some new dashboards that are now available in HMIS for you and your users. The dashboards are the data accuracy dashboard and the universal data elements data completeness dashboard. And so they are available to you now, and you can run it anytime. If you need a reminder on how to pull these dashboards in HMIS, please review the Running a Saved Look knowledge base article for instructions on how to run those dashboards. So the data accuracy dashboard, the purpose of it is to ensure that data entered into HMIS is entered accurately for clients. So for example, if you know you're serving a project where someone has to be a veteran and a client is not a veteran, that would not be accurate information. So this dashboard helps you find those types of errors to allow you to correct that data. So the data accuracy dashboard has 3 different sections. The first is a project overview. So this is looking at demographic information for the clients in your projects, as well as just total active enrollments. So like I said, this would be veteran information, the chronically homeless clients, the household composition of everyone in your projects, as well as gender. And so these are all broken down at the project level, so you'll be able to review and see if the data that you have for these clients makes sense. The next section has entry and exit information. So again, it's broken down by project, and it will tell you the type of situation where clients are entering from into your project, as well as where they are exiting to. And the last section includes potential data quality issues. So these may or may not be data quality issues depending on your project and how it's running. So it includes days since the last service a client had, enrollments that don't have any services. It includes errors with certain data elements like date of birth or approximate date the client's homelessness started. It also looks at if there are duplicate enrollments for a client in a project, as well as if there are more than one head of household in a household, or if there are no heads of household in a household. So it's a lot of different pieces of data quality that you can look at to help ensure your data is accurate. So this is just a sample of the full dashboard. There's a lot of data in there, so I highly recommend going into HMIS and running it for your projects. But this is just a sample. So you can see we have clients with a date of birth after their project start date. That should not happen because that doesn't make any sense. You can't be enrolled in a project before you're born. So that's a measure on there. We also have charts looking at clients that said they were disabled but don't have a disability type entered, as well as the opposite. So clients that did not have a disability but reported a disability type. We also have approximate date homelessness started errors. So the approximate date a client's homelessness started should be either before their project start date or on their project start date. So this is looking at clients where that is not true. We also have housing move-in date errors. So the housing move-in date should be between project start and project exit for a project. So this is looking at dates where that is not true. And then we also have days to PH placement. So this is looking at how many days, well, it's breaking down the days to PH placement into categories. So we have 0 to 30, 31 to 180, 181 to 365. And I think there's also a 366 plus days, but not for this specific project. So it breaks down the days to permanent housing placement so that you can see how quickly your clients are moving into permanent housing. And this also can be used for accuracy, because if you know that all of your clients are being placed in permanent housing within 6 months of their enrollment, and you have a client showing up that's, you know, more than 1 year, then you can go in and look at that client and see if there's an issue. So this is, like I said, just a sample or part of the data accuracy dashboard. I highly recommend going and reviewing the whole thing. We do also have a details dashboard to go with this. So it will list all of the clients included in all of these separate charts, and you will be able to see what data has been entered for that client to contribute to some of these errors. So that's the data accuracy dashboard. And then the universal data elements data completeness dashboard. This dashboard is ensuring that the data elements entered into HMIS are entered completely. So a incomplete response includes client doesn't know, client refused, data not collected, or also missing responses where one is required. So this is looking at whether or not those fields have answers or not. And this dashboard includes all of the data elements on the data quality report cards that we publish on a quarterly basis. So you will be able to run this data as needed for your agencies and make data quality corrections as often as you would like. We are also planning to create a dashboard similar to this, but for the program specific data elements at entry and exit, including for federal funding, other federal funding projects like HopUp, SSVF, Rye. So those will be coming hopefully next month. But this is to get your feet wet and get you started. So this is a sample of what the data completeness dashboard looks like. You will have a separate chart for each data element. And you can see the first 6 here. And then for each project, you will be able to see the percentage of valid responses for the data element versus the percentage where the client answered client doesn't know or client refused, as well as missing. So if it's data not collected or blank when it should be collected, that will be counted under missing. And then also for these top 3 data elements, the name data quality, SSN data quality, and date of birth data quality, there will be a data issues option also, and that reflects like approximate or partial name, SSN, or date of birth entered. So that is all I had on those. I'm looking to see if there are any questions. And as always, you can put in a ticket with HMIS Help Desk if these reports don't make sense, or if you have an idea for something else that we can add to these reports to make them better, or if you're having trouble running them, also please enter a ticket with the HMIS Help Desk. I'm not seeing any questions, so I'm going to keep going. Linda.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we have made some adjustments to the following coordinated entry system screens. So we have the individual CS enrollment screen, the family CS enrollment screen, and also the individual VISP assessment. So for the individual CS enrollment screen, the following OC custom questions have been made optional. These questions will no longer require a response in order to save the enrollment. And then we have the following custom questions have been removed, and they will no longer appear on the individual enrollment screen. For the family CS enrollment, the following custom questions have been made optional. So these questions will no longer require a response in order to save the enrollment. For all the Family Solutions Collaborative triage questions, all of them have been removed except for primary language, and then also the household pregnancy status. An additional question has been added to the triage, and it asked, are you in the process of reunifying with any minor children? Keep in mind that all of these Family Solutions Collaborative triage questions are optional, so that they are not required in order to save the enrollment. For the individual VISPDAT, we have taken the housing opportunity questions from the family VISPDAT and added them to the individual VISPDAT. So you will be required to answer which of the housing type is the household interested in, whether that be rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing, or the housing choice voucher.
These updates should be available in HMIS within the next day or so. We're just confirming a couple final things, but yes, you should be able to see these changes in HMIS very soon. All right, we're not seeing any questions. So the 2021 data standards changes. So many of you will remember that in past years, we have done trainings for the different changes in the data standards that were released by HUD. This year, because the changes were fairly straightforward, and because we know everyone is so busy, we decided to just incorporate these changes into the user meeting to kind of streamline the process a little bit. So we're going to go over those changes to the data standards now. For those that don't know what the data standards are, HUD provides funding to our COC and including HMIS, and so they require certain data elements to be collected in order to maintain that funding. And so that is what is in the HMIS data standards manual. It's all of those required data elements and what they are, who needs to collect that information, when during the client's enrollment it needs to be collected, and you know, the answer options for those questions and all that kind of stuff. So these changes are going to be implemented in HMIS as of October 1st. And then there are changes that only impact certain types of projects. So we'll be going over each of those. This slide includes all of the knowledge base articles that we have created on these changes, and they will also be in the meeting minutes. So please check those out for more details, and also share this webinar with the users at your agencies or have them review these knowledge base articles for more information on the changes. So like I said, there are different types of updates. So first we'll go over the updates that impact all users and all projects. There's also a couple changes that are specific to COC funded permanent supportive housing projects. There is a small update for coordinated entry. And then we have some updates for HopUp funded projects, Rye funded projects, and SSVF funded projects. So first up, Elizabeth.
Good morning, everyone. So these data elements are for all projects, and the ones that are listed on the screen right now are also for all clients. You will find this on the client profile, and that's the screen you'll see in HMIS. So for date of birth, there has been an updated guidance. Date of birth for responses that client doesn't know, client refused, and client data not collected, they are counted as missing date of birth data, and they are not valid in conjunction with a valid or approximate date enter for date of birth. And for race, the responses has been modified so that you will need to review our knowledge base for the updated responses. And with race, the client can identify with one or more racial categories. And for ethnicity, the responses has also been modified. And for gender, the lists of responses have been updated and additional options have been added to that data element. Similar to race, there's a new functionality with gender. So the client can identify with one or more gender option. So for this data element, income resources and non-cash benefit, this is pertaining to head of household and adults in the household. This will be, you'll see this in the enrollment screen, assessment screen, and project exit screen. This update is for those who are aging out of, the update is required for person aging into adulthood. So the user now has the ability to edit the project start as well as enter an update for the participant on their 18th birthday.
And just to add to that, this is for both income sources and non-cash benefits. The clarifying piece from HUD is that when if the client is enrolled in your project and they turn 18 while they are enrolled in your project, HUD does want the user to go in and do a status update for the client on their 18th birthday to report any income or non-cash benefits that the client has. All right, Heather.
Good morning, everyone. The next data elements are for COC funded permanent supportive housing projects. There are two brand new elements, C1, which is well-being, and C2, moving on assistance provided. The similarities for both of them are that their project type applicability are both permanent supportive housing, and the data is collected about the head of household. But with C1, the collection points are different. They're project start, annual assessment, and project exit. And you'll see these screens at the enrollment and HMIS in the enrollment, the annual assessment for the enrollment and the project exit. And then for the moving on assistance, let me back up. For well-being, there are 5 responses to those questions that are required. So C2, moving on assistance, that collection point is only at occurrence, and you'll see these screens at the service provided screen under the enrollment, and this only has one field to respond to.
Good morning, everyone. I wanted to go over the coordinated entry event that have been updated. So there are 3 events that have been updated. 2 are service space, and 1 is an actual sort of inferred enrollment based. So the first type are referral to emergency assistant flex fund furniture assistance. And what this refers to is the client is receiving a referral for emergency assistance, for flex fund, or for furniture assistance. The other is referral to housing stability voucher. And again, this is just a referral to a housing stability voucher project. And then the other final is a referral to a emergency housing voucher. And so this is, the client will be referred with an emergency housing voucher project.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I will also be sharing with everyone the changes that have been made for the HopUp funded projects. The project type applicability for, sorry, give me one moment, I'm sorry. Sorry, let me start over. The project type applicability will be for the emergency shelter, transitional housing, and permanent supportive housing project. Also the services only, and as well the homelessness prevention. Data collected, the data that will be collected will be for all clients receiving HopUp services. And then the screens in HMIS that this will be applicable will be the services provided screen under the enrollment. Could we change to the next slide, please? Thank you. Continuing on with this, for the medical assistance, the project type applicability for this one is going to be the emergency shelters, transitional housing, permanent supportive housing projects, services only, and as well as homelessness prevention. This data is going to be collected about all household members that have AIDS or HIV. The screens in HMIS that will be applicable are going to be the enrollment screen, the status update on assessment screen under the enrollment, and also the exit screen. Next slide, please. For the last, this is a new data element that's been added. It's being titled the prescribed antiretroviral. The project type applicability for this new data element is going to be the same projects listed in the previous 2 slides. So those are the emergency shelter, transitional housing, permanent supportive housing, services only, and homelessness prevention. This is going to be data that's collected as well, all household members with HIV or AIDS. And then the screens in HMIS that will be pertaining to this are going to be the enrollment screen, status update on assessment screen under the enrollment, and exit screen.
And so just to add a little bit to this, the prescribed antiretroviral is a new data element that HopUp funded projects will be collecting. And then for the medical assistance, HopUp providers will also be familiar with these, but they added 2 additional questions regarding if the client is receiving Rye and White funding, and if no, why not? All right, Linda. Linda, where are you? There you are. Hi, Linda. You're kind of breaking up, Linda. Uh-oh. While we wait for that, we got a question. When will these be updated in Clarity? They will be live as of October 1st in the live site. They are going to be available in the training site prior to that. I think it was actually like this week, but in the live site, it'll be as of October 1st. Linda, are you back? Uh-oh, okay. I'll I'll do this slide while Linda works it out. So we also have I think it's just one update for Rye Funded Projects. So hopefully the Rye Funded providers are already familiar with the pregnancy question that is collected in HMIS. The question is for emergency shelter, transitional housing, street outreach, and homelessness prevention projects that are Rye funded, and it's collected for adults or head of household. The main change to this data element is that it is now going to be required for all clients in Rye funded projects, not just those that report as female. And the purpose for this was to reflect that more than just people who identify as female can be pregnant. And this field is collected on the enrollment screen, the status update assessment. Oh yeah, just the enrollment screen and the status update assessment. So as of October 1st, it'll be asked of all clients in Rye projects. Linda, are you okay? Uh-oh. I'm gonna steal Linda's show over here, I guess. All right. For SSVF funded projects, we did have a couple changes as well. The first is just a small change for both homeless prevention and rapid rehousing projects. They made some small modifications to the financial assistance service in HMIS. So you will notice those changes when you go onto the services screen. They had a much larger change to the HP targeting criteria fields. So this is specific for homeless prevention SSVF projects. It's only collected for the head of household on the enrollment screen. And for the HP targeting criteria, there's a series of questions, like maybe 10 or 12, that they ask the clients at enrollment to kind of create a score for that client. And with the data standards changes, they have revamped many of these fields. And so if you go into the knowledge base article that I mentioned earlier, you can see all of those specific questions that are now going to be asked, as well as the answer options. But yeah, it's a bunch of data elements. So it's probably easiest just to look at that knowledge base article. And that is it. I am not seeing any other questions, so I'm gonna keep going. Heather.
Okay, so Clarity is introducing 2 new updates as part of the September release. And the first is for any projects using or requiring the current living situation assessment, a new default screen displays showing the assessments tab after completing the project enrollment screen. And the second is the ability to add a start and end date when the release of information response is no. So I'm going to go into each of these in detail, and then we'll see how it actually looks in Clarity. Erin, can you advance the screen, please? Okay. So the first update requires a bit of clarification. So projects such as CES require a current living situation assessment, but sometimes the assessment isn't completed, resulting in data quality issues. So currently you have, after you enroll your client in a program, the next or default screen is this screen. And what opens up is the Provide Services tab. The new updated screen is going to look like this. The same tabs show up, but you see the Assessments tab opened up. And the benefit of this is that it's going to remind you to do the CLS, and then it provides you quick access to do it. Okay, can you advance the screen, Erin? Okay, actually, you know what? Let's back up. I think I'm going to do a demo. I forgot my demo. And would you allow me to share my screen? Okay. Whoops.
You should be good now.
Okay, great. Okay. There we go. So I've created an enrollment for individual coordinated entry system for my client Fuzzy Bear here. And I'm going down and I'm going to click the save and close button after I complete the enrollment. And after it processes, the next screen is the brand new screen. So it's no longer the provide services, it's the assessments tab. And then here I can create Fuzzy's current living situation. Okay, stop share. Okay, great. So the next update is an ability to add a start date and an end date when creating or updating the release of information. So currently, when the shield icon is selected, so that's the top left screen, and then you go to the add or edit the ROI. So on the bottom, a no response will show you this screen, and where permission is no, but that's the only editable field. The date entered is not editable. But the new screen on the right shows if you click permission is equal to no, these dates are editable, where the start date is the default date is for today, but you can change that. And then the end date is optional. Okay, I'm going to do another screen share. And okay, so I'm going to change agencies quickly, and I'm going to go back into Fuzzy. And he doesn't currently have an ROI on file, and he has decided not to release his information. So as I go to the shield and I add a release of information, a new one, if I click no, I get these date fields. And this one, like I said, fully editable. And then this one is the optional one, but you can leave that blank. And then just click Save Changes. So as a last note, all updates are available right now on the training site and will be available on the live site on Tuesday, September 7th.
All right, we got a couple questions. Heather, the first is, will this be for street outreach projects too? So that was in reference to the change with the assessment screen?
Yes, yes, for any projects requiring the current living situation. So yes.
And then we got a question from Rebecca. Is the current living situation assessment update system-wide or locally controlled for CES? We will still need the housing assessment services entered, so users will have to go back to services after the current living situation assessment. So based on the notes that we've seen, it does look like it's system-wide and it does not appear to be able to be edited. But like Heather mentioned, the reason that it goes straight to the assessment screen is because for coordinated entry, the client should be entering a current living assessment at the same time they do their enrollment. So that is why it goes there, because it flows a little bit better. But they will still be able to go to that services provided and enter that information also. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions. So I'm gonna keep moving. Linda, I believe this is you. Are you with us?
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So sorry for the hiccup earlier, but regarding the agency audits, we want to thank all of you who have participated so far in this year's agency audit. If you have not yet participated, the next round of emails will be going out within the next week or so for this month's round of audits. So please be sure to check your email and also your junk email as a response is required in order to schedule your 2021 HMIS agency audits. And as always, we look forward to hearing from you.
And thank you everyone for joining our August meeting webinar. We went over the CS training. If you get a chance, please feel free to fill out our survey and give us feedback. The training video and slides are now on our website. Please join us for our September webinar, which we will cover the topic of agency admin and data quality training. This will take place Thursday, September 30th at 10.
So for this month's data performance and management meetings agenda consists of the HMIS minimum participation review. We also have the CES participation performance data review as well. And then we also have the homeless prevention project performance report. So please join us on Thursday, September 9th from 1:30 to 3 p.m. Using the meeting information below. This information will also be included in the meeting minutes that will be sent out following this meeting, and we hope to see you all there. So this month we have an upcoming Labor Day holiday. The help desk will be closed on Monday, September 6th. For Labor Day, and we will be back in the office to assist you for all your HMIS questions on the following Tuesday, September 7th. Please have a safe holiday weekend.
All right, so that was our agenda for today. So we have some time for Q&A. If anyone has any questions or they want to talk about anything in HMIS quickly, we can do that now. So we will hang out for a few minutes and see if anyone puts anything in the chat, or you can also unmute yourself if you would like to ask a question. As usual, the slides, meeting minutes, and recording will be sent out to all of the agency administrators. Please share it with your users, particularly the information related to the data standards changes, since that will impact all of them. The next meeting is scheduled for October 6th and at 10, and we will be sending out the agenda and the reminder a week before that meeting. We got a question. I've been getting questions about the private toggles on assessments. Can you please review those and how those impact data visibility? Sure. Let me get into the site really quick. If anyone has any questions while I'm doing this, please also put those in the chat. I'm just looking for a good example for this. All right. Okay, so the question is on the assessment screen. So this is the VI SPDAT for this client. And you go through all your questions, complete the VI SPDAT, and you get to the bottom of the screen and you will see this private toggle. And this is also available on other screens also. You will probably see it with like notes, some services, some files. This is kind of throughout Clarity. So the question is, what does this mean? When this checkbox is checked, it means that only your agency can view this assessment or file or whatever the screen you're on where this checkbox exists. Selecting private means only your agency will be able to view whatever data you enter on this screen. So because we already have sharing settings set up between the agencies, you should not need to use this private checkbox in most cases. And in particular, if you are working in coordinated entry, you should not be using this private checkbox because it will limit whatever data you're putting into only your agency. And in particular with coordinated entry, because you're sharing data to serve clients, this private checkbox should not be selected. Unfortunately, it does not appear that we can remove it. So I would say mostly just ignore it. Let's see, we got another question. Some people think it's a type of housing on the VI SPDAT assessment. Can we add a header to separate the private toggles from the housing type toggles? That's interesting. No, this is not a housing type. But I could see why someone would think that. So we can work on something to try and make that more clear. Maybe add in a label, like something like this down here that says this is a privacy checkbox. But yes, we can work on that. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Any other questions? All right, I'm not seeing any other questions come in. If you haven't already, please enter your agency name into the chat box so we know who's participating. Thank you all so much for attending as usual, and we will see you next month.